3 cars, 3 manufacturers, 3 tests, 1 track. It's the Hypercar Shootout 2.
Hey everybody, it's Mark, your friend from Slot Journal. You know, back in December, we did something a little bit different. We took 3 different hypercars from 3 different manufacturers and we ran a shootout where we compared the cars, put them on the track, tested them, and see what kind of results we got. Well, as it turned out, that happened to be one of our best watched episodes we had recently. So I've been wanting to do another one. So what we did this time around is we took the same 3 manufacturers. We tried some different cars. All of them, one was the same model, just a different livery. The other 2 were just totally different models. Again, all hypercars. And we wanted to get them back on the track. Essentially, the testing parameters were the same as we had before. We wanted to see what kind of results we got this time. And as a matter of fact, they were different. So let's take a look and see what we got this time around. So here are the 3 cars we're going to be testing this time around. The first is the Scalextric Cadillac V-Series Hypercar. This is number C4586. So this is the gold and black, the Mobile One 50th Anniversary Edition. Really nice looking car. The second one is our Scaleauto Peugeot 9X8 LMH Hypercar. This is number SC6374. Again, really beautiful car. And the third one today is the Slot.it Toyota GR010 Hybrid Hypercar. And this is number CA63A. And when you look at these from above, at first glance, it almost appears that the Peugeot, it seems like almost a little bit shorter than the other 2 cars. But if you turn over and look at the actual chassis length, you can see that these cars are actually about the same length. The chassis on the Peugeot is just about as long as it is on the Slot.it. And even again, compared to the Cadillac, you can see it's just about the same length. I think the thing there is the way the lack of the spoiler on the Peugeot and the other 2 cars, it kind of hangs over the back a little bit. It makes it appear that they are a little longer, but actually in chassis length they're all about the same. So let's go ahead. I'm going to take a look at these cars individually, and then we'll take a look at them on the track. And just a quick reminder before we go any further, these cars are all tested how they appear out of the box, dead stock. There's an inspection, we do some lubrication and maybe some adjustments, but there are no modifications done to the cars. If you're familiar with our test track, the Schweizer Ring, this is a 50-foot, 12.5 meter track. A lot of hills and level changes on it. There's varying R1, R3, and R4 curves. I think the longest straight is about 9.5 feet. But overall, it provides a very interesting challenge for all of the cars we race. On the day of testing, the room temperature down here in the basement was about 63 degrees. The track temperature with the monitor ran about 66 degrees, which is a little bit surprising. It was warmer. Power had been on for a while. I don't know if that made a difference, but that's where we were when we started. For this series of tests, I just used Lap Tracker. I just want to keep things simple. I do have a Smart Race, but I'm still trying to get that set up in the system. As far as controllers go, last time I used a straight 45 ohm Parma. I now have a DeFalco DD300 with some adjustable brakes and sensitivity, and that's what I used for this test. So the first car we're going to look at today is a Cadillac V-Series Hypercar. This beautiful gold and black car represents the 50th anniversary Mobile One celebration livery, driven in the 12 Hours of Sebring in 2024. This car was driven by Sebastian Bourdais, Scott Dixon, and Reiniger van der Zande, and the reference number on this car is C4586. So let's take a look at this Cadillac. Again, the chassis, probably the most basic setup you have. You have the DPR door there if you want to upgrade it. But again, nothing unusual, just very basic. Get this on the scale and it's 58 grams. And let's check this body. And the body comes out at 30. So, you can do the math without putting the body back on, but we're going to be at 88 grams here total. And just take another quick look at the body. Scalextric did a really nice job with it. Really good detailing. It's not the lightest body as you would expect, but again, the paint and the application of the tampo is really, really nice on this car. So let's see what these Scalies got on the track. Overall, this car was really smooth, really easy to drive. Felt a little faster than the Scalextric that we ran the first time we had a shootout, although it's the Cadillac V-Series Hypercar, same type of car. This one just felt a little bit better balanced. Really had no issues getting this around the track. It was possible in some of these curves to get the back end sliding out behind the car if you pushed it a little hard, but no issues at all for the most part. So let's take a look at the results from this Scalextric Cadillac. As it turned out, our fastest lap was 6.64 seconds. The average lap was 6.8. Now that's interesting because the first time we ran practically an identical Scalextric Cadillac V-Series Hypercar. The first time we did a shootout, fastest lap there was 7.27 seconds, average of 7.5. So this car did quite a bit better. Now the track was about 3 degrees warmer. I think it was 65 this time around. Last time it was about 62. Did have a different controller than I used the last time. I was using a 45 ohm Parma standard stock controller. This time I have a DeFalco, a D300 with adjustable brakes and sensitivity. So maybe that made a difference, although I don't think it would have made that big a difference. But, very interesting results for this time around. So the next car we're going to look at is the Scaleauto, the Peugeot 9X8 LMH Hypercar. This car ran, was in the 6-hour of Fuji in 2022, and it was driven by Loic Duval, Gustavo Menzies, and James Rossiter. And the reference number on this car is SC6374. Okay, and then for this time around, we're going to take a look at the Scaleauto, the Peugeot. Just a very, very light body. You can see there's really nothing extra needed in this body, so definitely built for performance. But just a beautiful job they did on the printing. And then, of course, for the chassis, it's typical Scaleauto Pro type chassis. Very complex, allows for a lot of different adjustments. One thing you'll see different on this test than the previous test, the Scaleauto Porsche we had no magnet. Here, this one comes stock from the factory with a magnet, and I'm not going to go through the MagnaForce testing on this, but let's just say that this one had about at least twice as much magnetic downforce as the other two cars, which is kind of funny. I didn't really expect that. I thought a car that's built for performance could probably get by with less downforce, but because of the power and torque of this motor on a small track, it does come in handy, because it does ensure that that car doesn't come off, and we don't have the the back end sliding around like we did on the last test. So let's get these on the scale. We'll see what we got. And grams, the chassis, we are at 69, 70. I breathed on it. The body's very light, 16 grams. So that obviously should give us a total 85. So 85 grams total on this. So let's get these on the track and see what happens. Just as an aside, I would note these two little winglets that you can see on either side, just behind the front wheel wells. Very careful of those. I've had both of these just basically fall off. I did get them glued back on with some super glue, but they're very tiny, easy to lose, and they just do seem to come off, snap off pretty easily. So be careful when you're handling the car that you don't lose those. Okay, let's see what it does on the track. The big difference here right off the bat was the fact that this car, stock out of the box, was equipped with a magnet, unlike the Scaleauto Porsche Hypercar that we tested first time around. It's made a huge difference in the performance of the car. It was really stuck down the track, as you would expect. Again, this magnet was a lot stronger than the magnets in the other two cars. Again, something that surprised me a bit, because I didn't think it would need one that strong. The other thing I ran into was, this was like the third test I had. I had issues with the car staying in the slot, and it kept catching on stuff, which again is nothing I experienced before with my other Scaleauto cars. So what I did, I actually had to trim the front off that guide and make it flat like my standard guides, and that solved the problem. The car ran nice and smooth and stayed in the slot after that. I don't know, I didn't have an issue with the other Scaleauto car I ran before, as I mentioned. Maybe that had to do with the magnet in this car pulling it down closer to the track. Don't know, but the trim solved the problem for me. But in short, that motor is really powerful. It really took some fine-tuning on the controls to keep this thing on the track with that strong motor. So result-wise, here we are, the Scaleauto Peugeot. This time around, the car did much better. Stock out of the box with the magnet left in it. The Peugeot had a fastest lap of 6.54 seconds, average lap of 6.6 seconds. Again, this is a far superior result to the Scaleauto Porsche we had. It's stock out of the box, but it did not have a magnet. That fastest lap was 8.71 seconds, and the average was 8.8. So we're 2 seconds, over 2 seconds better on this Scaleauto Hypercar this time around. So the third car we're going to look at today is the Slot.it Toyota GR010 Hypercar, the hybrid number 8. This car was the Sao Paulo 2024 winner. It was driven by Sebastian Buemi, Brendan Hartley, and Ryo Hayakawa for Toyota Gazoo Racing. The reference number on this car is SICA63A. Alright, so let's look at the Toyota. You can see the standard slotted chassis here with the insert. It's an angle winder. Let's put this on the scale. And the chassis, we got 60 grams. And the body, 18. That's pretty good. So together, about 78. So let's see what this Toyota does on the track. Overall, I think slotted cars are a really great balance of value and performance. The chassis design leaves plenty of room for adjustment and customization. It's not as highly developed or as sophisticated maybe as the Scaleauto chassis, but that doesn't really leave you any shortcomings in terms of performance. This car was really nice and smooth throughout its run. It's a great looking car. On some of the tighter, more challenging curves here, you could get a little bit of drifting around those curves, even with the magnet. But overall, this car was just a joy to drive. Nice and smooth, very responsive. The motor had a great response and power as well. So total package here really turned out really nice. So let's look at the results from our Slot.it Toyota. This car, the fastest lap was 6.5 seconds. Average lap was 6.7 seconds. That was a really good result for this car. Again, just to compare it to the Slot.it Acura Hypercar that we ran in our first shootout, the fastest lap on that car was 6.27 with an average of 6.4. So this car was just a hair slower than that car, but again, great performance. Now we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at all three of these cars, compare them together, and see what we've got. All right, so there's our three tests. Next, what I'm going to do is we're going to put the results up on the screen and compare all three cars together. Not only going to compare this shootout, but we'll also compare the results to what we got last time around, just to try to get an idea of what we have and the results we got on this track under these test parameters. So these aren't listed in order from fastest to slowest, but you'll see here at the end there really isn't much difference between fastest and slowest during this shootout. We started the Scalextric. Our best time on that car was 6.64 seconds, average of 6.8. The best time for the Slot.it Toyota was 6.5 seconds with an average of 6.7. The best time for the Scaleauto Peugeot was 6.54 seconds, and the average time was 6.6, which is actually the best average time. You'll see there that, the average time, as far as best time goes, there was only 0.14 seconds. I mean, a little over a tenth of a second difference. And in terms of the total time, or the average time, it was only 0.2 of a second spread here. I thought that was pretty impressive. And then again, just for shits and giggles, wanted to go through and compare the results we got from shootout number 1. You'll see our Scalextric Cadillac, essentially the same car, just different livery, but we had almost a second difference. Best time there was 7.2 versus 6.64 on the newer car. The Slot.it Acura actually did have a leg up on the Slot.it Toyota. We had a best time there of 6.27 seconds versus 6.5, and an average time that was 0.3 of a second better, 6.4 over 6.7. And as for the Scaleauto, our best time on the Peugeot was significantly better than what we got off the Porsche 963 last time around. Best time was 6.54 over 8.71, and average 6.6 over 8.8, which is over 2 seconds better. Again, that's not a surprise since that Porsche did not have a magnet from the factory. Now, in retrospect, there's a couple interesting things about this test. One, and like I've said before, the track makes all the difference. You know, if you were running these cars on a commercial track or on a routed track or even a home track that had much longer straights and wide sweeping curves, your results are going to be different. That goes without saying. The other thing is the fact that I can't account for the differences between this shootout and last shootout. Why overall our times, with one exception, were faster overall than they were last time. Granted, I'm using a different controller. I'm using the DeFalco versus this, stock Parma. But my driving style hasn't changed that much. I never had brakes before. I don't use much brakes now, even with the adjustable controls. So I don't think it changed my driving style that much more or made that big of a difference. I think one of the things you have to decide is, what kind of experience do you want? How do you want to enjoy your cars? Are you there for all-out speed and that's what you want to do? Are you out for a balance of speed and enjoyment, cars that are easy and fun to drive, that you figure will probably stay on the track, that you can allow your friends and family to, drive them as well? That's important to me. And it also goes to your driving style. Just what kind of a driver are you? Do you like to go flat out? Do you use a lot of brake? Do you like a high sensitivity to your speed adjustment? All those kind of things make a difference in how you enjoy your cars. But I think more than anything else, this demonstrates for me why I run my cars box stock from the factory as much as possible. If they come with a magnet, that's how I run them. And why? Well, I think you can see by the test results, it tends to narrow the performance gap between the cars and the various manufacturers. Like I said, if you look at that, there was on the average lap time, there were 0.2 of a second. That's not much. And that tells me that, I could give maybe a little less experienced racer that Scaleauto, and I could take the Scalextric, and I still have a pretty good chance of beating him. So that's why, I run my cars the way I do on my home track. Again, like I said, if I'm racing, going to commercial track or something like that, all bets are off. I'm taking a totally different approach. So that's all for this episode. I hope you found it helpful, or at least interesting. If you have any thoughts, ideas, please put them in the comments. I'd love to hear your response to, what we showed you here today. Again, if you like this kind of content, feel free to like and subscribe. It really, really does help the channel. I'm coming up on 1,500 subscribers. I think I've only got a couple more to go. So I'm trying to figure out something interesting to do to celebrate that. I also want to take a few minutes to thank some of the folks who have been doing some sticker exchanges. I wanted to point those out. Ryan over at P&W sent me some great stickers here. We've got the Sofa King sticker and his other stickers. You can see him in the reflection there. Great stuff. Gooset got some stickers from him. Those are awesome. Got some great stickers there. Of course, Nico at Slot Car Dude got some stickers there as well. And Joe, I think the Slot Car Dojo got his Rexy and his regular stickers there. Those are great. And of course, Anders, Lucifer. I'd like to thank him and Lucifer for these great stickers too. So again, thanks to everybody out there who's exchanged stickers. If you want to do a sticker exchange, in the go to the YouTube channel where it says more. There's a link there. You can find my email address. Just reach out. Again, be more than happy to exchange stickers with anybody out there. I love to see them. It's a lot of fun. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this. And get on your track, get your cars out, have some fun, and step on it.